Hey everyone, ready to boost those English reading skills?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. So today we're going deep into some excerpts from a podcast script all about why reading in English matters. But
Well, then just the basics, right?
totally, it's about uncovering those hidden gems that'll make reading in English like a secret weapon for your learning.
A secret weapon. I like that.
We'll be looking at how reading impacts your other English skills. Practical tips to make reading a habit you actually enjoy.
And even some alternative approaches.
Exactly. Because let's be real, who wants to be stuck with a dictionary every other sentence?
Not me.
Me neither. But first, this whole idea of reading in English being the foundation of a house, with speaking, writing, listening, all built on top, that really intrigued me. What makes reading so foundational, especially when you're learning English as a second language?
That's a great question, and it's at the heart of this script. Reading in English, it's more than just decoding words, It's about immersing yourself in how the language actually flows. Think about it. When you read, you're exposed to tons of vocabulary, grammar structures, even those tricky idiomatic expressions that you might not hear in everyday conversation.
So it's like absorbing the building blocks of the language straight from the source.
Exactly. It's like getting a direct download.
But does that mean you have to sit there with a highlighter and dictionary, analyzing every single word?
Not at all. It's about consistency, letting your brain naturally make those connections over time. The script actually mentions this research from the National Reading Council.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
They found that reading not only improves your vocabulary and grammar, but it also boosts your cognitive skills, things like comprehension and critical thinking.
Hold on, so reading can actually make you a sharper thinker. I knew it was good for you, but...
It's amazing, isn't it? The research suggests that when you're reading, especially in a foreign language, your brain's working hard. It's analyzing information, making inferences, connecting ideas in new ways. It's like a mental workout.
Wow, a mental workout. I'm sold on the why part.
Yeah.
But the script also talks about this ripple effect that reading has on other English skills. Can we unpack that a little? Let's start with speaking. How does being a bookworm actually make you a better, more confident speaker?
Okay, so imagine this. You're reading, right? And you come across all sorts of phrases, idioms, those everyday expressions that native speakers use without even thinking. Just by reading, you're absorbing all of that.
Like osmosis.
It is a bit like osmosis. So then when you're speaking, those phrases, they just come out naturally. Your spoken English starts to sound more authentic, more like a native speaker.
So you're unconsciously picking up on the nuances of conversation just by reading.
Exactly. It's not just memorizing individual words, it's understanding how they're used in context, the rhythm of natural speech. Reading gives you a front row seat to see how native speakers put sentences together, where they emphasize certain words, even how they use pauses.
Okay, I can see how that works. What about writing? I love how the script compares reading to having a writing mentor. Can you expand on that?
Picture this. You have the greatest English writers as your personal tutors. They're subtly guiding you, showing you how to create compelling sentences, build stories, really engage your readers.
Sounds pretty amazing.
It is. And that's essentially what happens when you read. You see all these different writing styles, some simple and direct, others more complex and poetic. You start to notice how authors structure their arguments, build suspense, create those vivid images that make you feel like you're right there in the story.
So it's like osmosis for writing.
Exactly. Osmosis for writing skills.
Love it. The connection between reading and listening, though, that still has me a bit puzzled. They seem like totally separate skills.
I know, right? But think about it. When you read, your mind is creating these pictures, scenes, characters, dialogues, all playing out in your head. That mental imagery actually helps you understand spoken language better. You've already trained your brain to process those scenarios.
So it's like reading is giving you a framework for understanding spoken English.
Exactly. It's priming your brain to pick up on those subtle cues in spoken English, accents, different speeds. It all becomes easier to process. You get better at anticipating what's coming next in a conversation, even filling in the blanks if you miss a word or two.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I'm convinced that reading is like a super vitamin for my English. But honestly, how do you make it a habit, with life being so busy? What did the script say about that?
One of the biggest hurdles is feeling overwhelmed. People think they have to tackle these massive novels to get any benefit.
Right, like starting with War and Peace.
Exactly. But the script really emphasizes starting small. Even just 10 minutes a day can make a huge difference over time.
Okay, so ditch War and Peace, grab a magazine article instead.
Exactly. Pick something manageable, a short story, a blog post, even a children's book if you're starting out. It's about consistency not intensity.
Got it. Small steps.
Yeah.
Consistent progress.
You got it. And the script also talks about passion-driven reading. Choose things that genuinely interest you. Cooking, sports, travel, anything that sparks your curiosity.
Right, because forcing yourself to read something boring is a recipe for disaster.
It really is. When you're genuinely engaged with the material, reading stops feeling like a chore and becomes something you actually look forward to.
Makes sense. And setting realistic goals, that can be helpful too, right?
Absolutely. Don't aim for a book a week right away. Maybe start with an article a day or a short story every other day. Those small wins keep you going.
So it's like leveling up in a game, but for reading.
Exactly. And speaking of games, the script mentions using technology to make reading more accessible, more fun. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, I'm all about that.
Me too. Think about apps like Kindle and Audible. They give you so much reading material right there on your phone or tablet. Plus, you can adjust font sizes, use built-in dictionaries. You can even listen to audiobooks if you prefer that.
It's like having a personal reading assistant in your pocket.
It is.
But sometimes, even with all the cool tech, reading can feel kind of lonely. The script mentions the power of community. How does that fit in with reading?
Joining a reading club, either online or in person, can be amazing. You connect with other bookworms, share your thoughts, get recommendations. It creates that sense of accountability. It makes reading more social, more fun.
It's like having a support system for your reading goals. I love that.
Me too. It really adds another dimension to the experience. Welcome back. We've talked about why reading in English is so important, especially when you're learning the language. Now, how about we explore those alternative ways to read that we mentioned earlier?
Yeah. Let's dive into those. Because honestly, not everyone loves curling up with a traditional book.
Right. Some people might find it a bit daunting, especially if they're still getting comfortable with English.
Exactly. So it's great to remember that reading in English isn't just about books. There are so many other options out there, each one perfect for different learning styles and preferences.
Absolutely.
So audiobooks. I'm a big fan myself. It's like having someone tell you a story, and it's great for when you can't actually sit down with a book. But how do audiobooks help someone who's learning English?
Well, with audiobooks, you're hearing that natural rhythm of English, the way it's spoken. You hear how words are pronounced, how sentences are phrased, the flow of conversation.
This is a more engaging way to practice listening, right?
And it's
more than just overhearing random conversation.
Exactly. It's perfect for those who learn best by listening. And you can do other things while you read. Cooking, cleaning, working out, anything.
I love that. Sneaking in some English practice without even trying.
That's the best way to learn.
Okay, so audiobooks are great for auditory learners. But what about visual learners? The script talks about graphic novels and comics. Why are they so effective, especially for English language learners?
Graphic novels are amazing because they combine storytelling with visual art. The pictures help you understand the words, especially if you're still building your vocabulary.
So it's like a more accessible way to start reading in English.
Exactly. Less intimidating than a huge novel. And the visuals keep you engaged, make it more fun. Don't underestimate the stories in graphic novels, though. They can be just as deep and complex as any traditional book.
Well, absolutely. I've read some incredible graphic novels that really made me think.
Me too.
Okay, so we've got audiobooks for auditory learners, graphic novels for visual learners. What about something a little more, real world?
Well, think about news apps. We're surrounded by information these days, but that's actually a good thing for English language learner.
Right. Staying informed while you practice your English reading. 2 birds, 1 stone.
Exactly. News articles give you a wide range of vocabulary, different writing styles, different perspectives, and you're staying up to date with current events. You might see formal language in a political article, then a more casual tone in a human interest story.
So it's like a crash course in different types of writing.
It is, and it helps you connect with the world, understand different viewpoints, participate in conversations about what's happening around us.
I love that. It's not just about improving your English. It's about being a more informed citizen of the world.
Absolutely.
Okay, and last but not least, the script mentions using subtitles while watching movies or TV shows in English. This one surprised me. How does that work?
Think of it as a bridge between spoken and written English. You're hearing the words and seeing them written at the same time.
So it helps you connect the pronunciation with the spelling, especially for those tricky words that don't sound how they look.
Exactly. And you're picking up on idioms, slang, all in a natural context. You start to understand how those phrases are used in everyday conversations.
That's so clever. Like sneaking in some extra language learning while you relax and watch a movie.
It is. It makes learning feel less like work and more like fun.
Okay, so we've covered some great alternatives to traditional reading. Now, for someone who's ready to take their reading to the next level, what are some more advanced strategies? The script mentions active annotation. Can you explain that a bit more?
Active annotation is about turning reading into an active learning experience. You're not just passively reading the words, you're interacting with them.
Okay, so more than just highlighting a few sentences.
Right, you're making the text your own. So as you read, highlight or underline any new words or phrases. Then write down definitions, synonyms, example sentences, or even your own thoughts right there in the margins. It's like having a conversation with the author.
So you're creating your own personal study guide as you go.
Exactly. And get creative. Draw diagrams, mind maps, anything that helps. The more you engage, the better you'll remember the information.
I love that, making those words come alive.
Yes. And after you finish a chapter or section, go back and review your annotations. Test yourself on the new vocabulary. Try using those words and sentences. Summarize the main points in your own words.
Great way to make sure it all sticks.
It is. But sometimes, even with all that, new words just don't want to stay in my brain. Any tips for really remembering new vocabulary?
Embedation and what's called spaced retrieval are key. Don't just write a word down once and expect to remember it forever. Make flashcards, use vocabulary apps, even write words on sticky notes and put them around your house. The more you see those words, the better you'll remember them.
It's like building muscle memory for your vocabulary.
Exactly. The more you use those words, the stronger your vocabulary becomes. And don't forget about reading aloud.
Oh, right. We talked about that as a general tip, but how does it help specifically with vocabulary?
When you read aloud, you're engaging with the words in multiple ways. You see them, you say them, you hear them. It helps those words stick in your memory.
And you practice pronunciation at the same time.
Exactly. It's a pronunciation workout. Pick a passage you've annotated and try reading it out loud. Pay attention to the rhythm, the emphasis. You can even record yourself and listen back.
I like that idea. It's like having a personal coach for your pronunciation.
So we've talked about active annotation, repetition, reading aloud. But what about the actual material? How do you know what to read and how to challenge yourself as you improve?
That's a great question. You need to find that sweet spot between being challenged and enjoying what you're reading. Not too easy, not too hard.
Like finding that Goldilocks zone of reading.
Exactly. Start with something that's comfortable for your level. If you're a beginner, maybe try graded readers or simplified versions of classic novels. Then, as you get better, gradually increase the difficulty.
So it's like climbing a ladder one step at a time.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to try different genres and topics. Branch out from fiction to nonfiction. Read about different subjects. The more you read, the better your vocabulary and understanding of English will be.
It's all about expanding your horizons and exploring everything the language has to offer. And hey, don't forget about rereading old favorites. You might be surprised by how much more you understand second or third time around.
That's true. You can rediscover a book in a whole new way. And as you improve, even challenging books will become more enjoyable.
It's like leveling up your understanding of the language. But one of the most valuable tips from the script is the importance of discussing what you read with others. It's easy to read alone, but how does talking about a book or article enhance the learning experience?
It's like taking those ideas off the page and bringing them to life. When you discuss a book with others, you hear different interpretations, perspectives you might not have considered on your own.
So you're adding another layer to the reading experience.
Exactly. It makes you think critically about what you read, defend your own interpretations, and consider other viewpoints. It's inspiring to hear how others connected with the same text share those aha moments, discover new meanings you might have missed.
It turns reading into a shared adventure.
I love that. It's about building a community of readers, a place to share and discuss ideas. And while you're doing that, you're not only understanding the text better, you're improving your communication skills, learning to express yourself clearly, and having respectful conversations.
So it's about more than just improving English. It's about developing those critical thinking and communication skills that we need in all parts of life.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that learning is a journey we take together. So find those reading communities that you connect with. Join a book club. Participate in online discussions. Even just talk to a friend about something you've read. You might be surprised by what you discover.
Such great advice. Sharing your reading journey with others can be so rewarding.
It really is. It's about nurturing a love of reading, a passion for language, and a sense of community that goes beyond borders. So, as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, think about the strategies we've discussed. What resonated with you? What are you excited to try in your own reading practice?
And remember, The most important step is just to start. Grab a book, download an audiobook, subscribe to an online magazine, whatever makes you excited. The world of English reading is waiting, and the possibilities are endless. Welcome back for the final part of our deep dive into why reading in English matters. It's been a really interesting journey exploring all the different ways reading can power up those English skills.
Yeah, it has. We've covered so much, from the core benefits of reading, those practical tips for making it a habit, alternatives for people who don't love traditional books, even some advanced techniques to really level up your reading.
Going through all of this, I'm struck by the idea that reading is more than just, reading. The script talks about it being a gift, and I think I'm starting to get what that means.
I totally get that. It's more than just decoding words or checking it off your list. It's about investing in yourself, opening up new worlds.
Right, you're giving yourself access to all this knowledge, different ways of thinking, and as we've been talking about, there's no one right way to do it.
Exactly. Whether you're with a classic novel, listening to an audiobook on your commute, even those subtitles while you're watching a show, you're engaging with the language, making it a part of your life. That's what really matters.
I love that. Finding what works for you, what makes you want to keep exploring. Thinking back to the beginning, we talked about reading as the foundation of a house, with those other language skills built on top. Do you think that analogy still fits after looking at all these different angles?
I think it's an even stronger analogy now, because reading isn't just about gathering information, it's about building those thinking skills, the ability to analyze, to make connections. And those skills, they affect everything, how we communicate, how we learn.
Wow. It's like reading is the framework that supports all those other skills.
Exactly. And the most important thing is that reading shouldn't feel like a chore. It should be something you enjoy, something that helps you connect and grow.
I totally agree. It's about finding that spark that makes you want to keep reading, whether it's a physical book or something on your phone. So as we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with a final question to think about. With all these different ways to read, what type of reading experience excites you the most? What sparks your curiosity, your desire to learn and grow?
Think about that for a bit, listeners. The answer will help you find the reading journey that's perfect for you. And remember, the biggest step is just to start. Dive into the world of English reading and enjoy the adventure.
Well said. That's all for our deep dive this time. Happy reading, everyone, and keep those pages turning.